Hi, I'm Jason Marsh, and we're going to take a look at what may be happening with the world's population. So as of 2021, population was about 8 billion people, and total fertility across the whole world was 2.3 children per woman. The higher birth rates are in yellow. First, let's step back in time. 10,000 years ago, when there was some small number of millions of people, you can see things started to really take off, and now we're here at close to 8 billion people. But what's going to happen in the future? Let's ripple this out and really start to understand where that can go. And what we're looking at here is a bunch of different scenarios, and the best way to see those scenarios, I think, is in 3D. Now, replacement rate is about 2.05 in the future when we have maybe a 100-year life expectancy. And then 2.2, which is where we are now, 2.1, all of those just go up through the ceiling. Crazy. Maybe we'll settle in about 1.6. Overall, we can see that the numbers of people drop off at a similar speed and curve as how quickly the numbers went up. We can compare 1.6, 1.8, maybe 2.1, and see these instantaneously here. So if 1.6 has this similar curve down to what we've got now, is that realistic? Could we expect to have some numbers around 1.6? Well, let's take a look. What were our fertility rates in 2021? China, 1.16. That's way below 1.6. India, 2.03. Not even at replacement level. Japan, 1.3. One of the lowest in the world. South Korea, 0.8. So there's a lot of numbers here that are nowhere near replacement level. Americas, of course, the United States, 1.6, nowhere near replacement level. Brazil, even Mexico. I mean, I grew up thinking that Mexicans had large families. Not anymore. 1.8, nowhere near replacement level. Looking at African countries, we still have some pretty high numbers, right? Up here around 6s and 5s. That's a lot higher than the other parts of the world. But let's see how that's actually changed over time. So just focusing in still on just Africa. Nigeria, today, yes, they're at 5.2, but they were at 6.43 30 years ago. Some of these countries have moved much farther. Ethiopia was at 7.2 and now it's at 4.1. These are huge shifts in the number of children that women are having. Went from 4.3 to 2.9. So even in the parts of the world that have the largest fertility rates, they still see this huge movement in the future. And let's focus in more on Asia, okay? So India went from a fertility rate of 3.96 to 2.03, in half. Japan hasn't moved that much, actually, since 1991. Republic of Korea, it's dropped in half in the last 30 years. One of the ones with the biggest change is Bhutan, which went from 5 to 1.41. This is really interesting set of data to be looking at. How should we be thinking about this? Remember, these are numbers that are just based on the math. This is not considering Malthusian disasters or climate disasters or any other changes that could occur, even social changes that could occur that say, hey, we as a society need to be having more children. Maybe this will get us back to a more sustainable relationship to the planet, and the planet can sustain a few billion humans much more comfortably than 10 billion humans, for example. This is just people living their full lives, but capitalism doesn't know how to deal with shrinking societies, right? Capitalism is fundamentally based on building bigger and bigger all the time. And that's just not going to be sustainable over the long term with this size of a population.